shot him in the leg. He ended up in the hospital for the next 4 years undergoing 13 surgeries.
Every week I would go to church 6 years.
Then we got introduced to bad things like drugs. I had nothing.
Let's get ready to meet incredible, amazing people, life changers.
What makes a person decide to change one's life? What makes a person choose to buck the tide, resist the trend, go against the current, and despite all odds, challenges, and obstacles, swim upstream? Judaism, Yiddishkeit, is predicated on life changers. Avram Avinu left an entire society awash in paganism to become the founder of monotheism. Moshe Rabbeinu abandoned Egyptian royalty to become the giver of the Torah. The ultimate life changer will be Moshiach, the person who will choose to forsake the conveniences, the amenities, materialism, immorality, heresy, to bring the world to an elevated and uplifted reality. You are going to meet the most extraordinary people who are at the crossroads, who had to make a conscious decision, who had to make a choice. Where would their life lead them? What would be their choices impacted not only themselves, but those around them. And these people will inspire, empower, but most importantly, ignite us and arouse our deepest feelings, faith, love, and a never-ending quest to learn how we too could be different, how we too could make changes that will engender ripple effects throughout the world. Let's get ready to meet incredible, amazing people, life changers.
I know that in my life, certain things happen to me and it triggers memories. And you just never know what somebody is taught when they're a 5-year-old or an 8-year-old or a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old, how that's going to affect them many, many years later in a very mysterious way. And I believe that's what happened to my father. Everything that was done when he was a young boy, he wanted to emulate and brought it into his house 20, 30, 40 years later. It's called Masorah, and he wanted to keep it. And he was very, very strong about that. Minig, that the chicken soup is important. The fish is important. The cholent is important. It's not a tuna fish sandwich. It's having a special day that you celebrate it. It's not a Sunday. It's not a Tuesday. It's a Shabbos. And on Shabbos, you eat special foods. You go to shul more than during the week, and you don't do certain things, but mainly that you do certain things, and it should be a lifelong memory. Shabbos has to be a positive experience. Yes, there's a lot of things you can't do, but he always said, look at it as a privilege. Don't look at it that you can't do it. Tell him that it's something that enhances a day of rest. And we see that today when more and more people are going offline and they're plugging out of the social media and the whirlwind. You are with your thoughts, with God, with family, and he stressed that way before the internet age. Shabbos in our house was fun, was strict, but we felt that it's a privilege to do it. And we didn't look at it that we're missing the ball game on TV. We looked at it as something that our father, grandfather, great-grandfather, going back to Sinai. And when you look at it, that you're linked in a very, very long and distinguished chain, you look at it with pride. And you don't look at it as a missed opportunity, you look at it as a blessing. My father would sing Zmiris, he would dance with the children, he would take the grandchildren on their shoulders, on his shoulders, dance around the table. He was a very dignified man, but he wanted to show the kids that it's a privilege and to make it a complete positive experience with responsibilities. My father, he was born in Vișeu de Sus, which was a suburb of Vișnitz in Romania, 1929. He had an idyllic childhood. Unfortunately, in 1944, the Germans came in, rounded everybody up. My father ended up in Auschwitz, where his mother and 6 little brothers and sisters were incinerated upon arrival. Obviously, he went through hell on earth. On Liberation Day in 1945, Americans liberated him, and accidentally, an American soldier shot him in the leg. That day, his leg was shattered to pieces. He ended up in the hospital for the next 4 years undergoing 13 surgeries, and he only came to America in 1949. After the 13th surgery, it was spring of 1949, and he was finally feeling better. He was able to walk, and the boys in the hospital found out that there is a soccer game between the Americans and another group of POWs or allies 3 towns over. The only way to get there was by taking a train 3 stops, because it was 3 towns away. This was on a Shabbos. He started walking towards the train, and as he was getting close to the stop, the train was pulling up. It was a steam locomotive, and it released a smoke. My father tells me that when he smelled the steam, what he saw and what he smelled was his mother's chicken soup, his mother's fish, his mother's cholent, smelled and tasted Shabbos at home. And then he remembered that going on a train on Shabbos is not allowed. And he told his friends, I can't go now, maybe I'll catch up on the next train, but right now go without me, have a good time. He tells me that at that point he fell down on the floor, started crying, and said to himself how much he wanted to go, but he felt that his mother was coming to him almost in a trance and telling him, don't give up everything that we've taught you. Years later, my father told me the story, and he said there's not a question in the world that every friend of his that went on that train that Shabbos, had he gone, he would have gone, and they went the next Shabbos and the next Shabbos, and he would not have ever kept Shabbos again. And he said he attributes it completely to his mother coming to him, and he was so taken aback. Then he would have hundreds of pictures of his children, his grandchildren, great-grandchildren, hundreds of pictures around the house, and he would point and say, had I gone on that train, I wouldn't have had anything. I would have been some rich guy, maybe in Alabama, but I would have no children, no grandchildren, no nachas at all, and I thank my mother for that. His mother was coming to him and saying, don't throw away future generations, don't throw away your Masorah, don't throw away your heritage for a momentary pleasure of going to a soccer game, even though you deserve it and you need to go and you need to get out and you need to relax after being in the hospital for 4 years. Don't throw it all away. My father was one of the happiest people in the world, considering what he went through. And he taught us to enjoy every moment of life and make every minute count. He used to talk about what he went through, but he used it to propel him forward, not to hold him back. He looked back to propel him forward. And he raised us to appreciate everything God gives us. And of course, Shabbos, and he was a fanatic when it came to traditions called minhagim. My father's legacy, I would say, was to use every minute of every day wisely and not squander. He had a lot of fun. He took us all over America, many places in the world, but ultimately he lived with God. And he used to get up every morning at 4 o'clock, like clockwork, till he was in his 90s, to go to shul, to say Tehillim for the family, for Klal Yisrael in general, and he would go to sleep quite late. He wanted to make every minute count, and he taught us that. When he was 5, 6, 7 years old, he wasn't thinking that in 6, 7, 8 years he's going to be in hell on earth. But if you keep and do what you're supposed to, many times things end up the way they should. And he was a big believer, never complained. He had a lot to complain about his early life, later on in life. My father was one of the happiest people, that considering what he went through, and even for somebody who didn't go through that, he was just a very, very happy person. There was nothing happier than a simcha, where he would dance and he would say, who would have thought that I would be here with children, with grandchildren, with great-grandchildren. I was just hoping to be buried as a Jew. That was my hope in Auschwitz. And here I am, with generations upon generations.
Warm memories have the power to rebuild generations. What memories will you create today to inspire tomorrow?
Hi, my name is Rafael Varayev. Tell you what gives me motivation. We used to have a game called Mario. And this Mario, that when you play, he runs and he collects the coin. And he never fills up those coins. You know what I'm saying? He has a bag, but it doesn't fill up. So a person is supposed to also do a mitzvah. When a person sees the mitzvah, I love doing mitzvah. I love serving Hashem. And that gives me a lot of motivation. When I was 13 years old, my family got involved with a missionary. Every week I would go to church 3 to 4 times. I would go with my cousin. Church people, they would help us out, involved with the money or food. I would always wonder how the Jews, they were so chosen, this missionaries trying to say that they Yoshka, that they are the Messiah. Everything was going well. Family was dwelling in it, we say roughly maybe 6 years. I was 19 years old. One day my cousin asked me to participate in Rabbi Mizrahi's lecture. First time I went to Rabbi Mizrahi, he was talking about the Judaism and with the missionary. And it was very interesting for me. And I would have a debate with Rabbi Mizrahi, and he would tell me that you are being blinded by the missionary and you have to really find out about the truth. So I would sit with Rabbi Mizrahi hours and talk to him about it. When I find out the truth about Judaism, and I was very, very inspired by it. I wanted to know more about it. I was very interested to help certain people out. In my barbershop, we talk about a lot of things to help out the person to realize what Judaism is. When I spoke with Rabbi Eli Stefansky, he brought me to Israel, bought me a ticket, and he told me that it's unbelievable the stuff that you do in the barbershop, that you're bringing. In a day, I would maybe sign up 40 people. He would say, it's unbelievable. How can you yourself, one year could bring so many people? He really loved me, and he still loves me, by saying that, you're doing an amazing job. You don't have no idea you're helping the Jews. Yochanan Itzkowitz and Richie Taylor are the main person that made me involved into it. It was a very beautiful opportunity that I could give out the Gemaras. And Baruch Hashem, in my barbershop, I was very successful. And being successful, that signing up people for the Daf Yomi, I would ask a person that if he learns or not, his daily basis. If I would see that that person has time for it, I would try to convince him by saying that, we have free books. I would tell them that taking upon yourself a Daf Yomi is one of the best stuff that you could have by just going, listening in the car. It used to be like 8-minute Daf before. And I would tell the people that for 8 minutes, you could learn a lot. Majority of people would say no to me, but I would try to convince them, tell them that you never know that maybe Hashem sent me here to give this Gemara to you. just try for 7 days, see what you could do. And if you don't like it, just bring it back. Somebody giving you something for free, why would you not take it? You know, I tell you honestly, I'm very, very happy that Hashem showed me this way, that He put me to this path.
It's incredible. One person brought in 163 people. Thank you so much. Wow. 163 people.
6 years I was in the church as growing up, finding out about Christianitism and everything. When I turned 19 years old, until now, it's unbelievable that I have the special zchus, that Hashem really opened up my eyes. He saw in me that I was trying to accomplish something in life. And deep inside of my heart, I would say to myself, what's the truth? God showed me the truth. Show me the way. Baruch Hashem, He showed me this. When I was working for my boss, there's one person, ex-Hasidish, came to the barbershop, and he came up and he said that, can you please give me a cut? We gave him a haircut, and he said that I would like to have a beard trim with a razor. I told him that I cannot do it because we Jewish people not allowed to do razor. That's what Hashem told us. Say, if you're not gonna do a razor, I would go to a Goyish barbershop. They're gonna give me a razor. So I spoke with my boss about it. That my boss said that if you're not gonna do it, you could get fired. So I was stuck. And I was basically telling him that, you know, that there's halakhically you're not allowed, maybe I could do this. He said, no, give me a razor. I want a razor, that's it. So I said, okay, sit down. He sat in my chair. I took it off his beard with the outliner. He said, give me a razor. So I said, hold up, relax. I'm gonna give you a razor, no problem. I put him back. I put a lot of cream on his face, took out the razor, and I make believe that I put the razor inside, which is, I never did it. Which is, I had it between my fingers and make believe I would start cutting with a razor. But there was no razor in it. It was going 1.5 years to 2 years. I was doing the same method for him. He would come to me, I would do the same thing over and over. This person would come every 2 weeks. And one day, he comes up to me, he tells me, I don't want you to cut me with the razor no more. He said that because I found a religious girl and her father is a big rabbi. If he sees me that I am very smooth shaved, he's not gonna give me his daughter. And I told him that, okay, no problem. So I left him the beard. Within 3 months, he comes back to me, he tells me that, you know, I'm getting engaged. I told him, listen, I never actually cut you with a razor. He looks at me, he said, what are you talking about? I said, yes, I never cut you with a razor. He said, every 1.5 years that you're doing this for me, that you never touched me with a razor? I said, no. After that, he went, he told his father. The father told him that you better bring that barber to the wedding. I want to see this barber. So I went to the wedding. I see a Rebbe. So there were a lot of people. There's like hundreds of people over there. And I'm like looking at it, I'm saying, wow. And the Rebbe over there is telling me, come next to me. He's dancing with me. He said, dance, dance, dance. And everybody is like looking at me like, what's going on? Who is this guy that he's dancing with? And the Rebbe said, you don't have no idea what you have done to my son, that you saved him, that you never shaved his beard with a razor. You know, it says in the holy books of the Torah that we have 5 parts of our beard that not supposed to be shaved with a razor. And this is like the pipe, like the channel, where all the barakah comes. I love my job, actually, that I cut hair and at the same time do mitzvah. Like one person came to my shop and he said, Raphael, why you have the rabbis on the wall? Why you have the Torah and the books, like religious books? This is a business, you're not allowed to do this. Mix business with the religion, you have to think about the business. When I see there is religious books, rabbis' pictures, that uplifts me. There's one kid came to my barbershop and we never spoke about religion. You know, he would sit by my father. My father would cut his hair. And one day he sat by me and we started talking. I started talking about religion. I started talking about Hashem. I started talking about what do you want to do? Where are you going? Where are you heading? and he tells me that he was going through a little bit problems. I felt very bad for him, and I will start talking about Judaism to him. I will start telling him about tefillin. Did you ever put on tefillin? He said he would never put it on tefillin. So when I heard that, I took it as a mitzvah. I said that, you know what, I want to do this mitzvah and I want to put it on for him, this tefillin. So we started talking about it. He willing to put on tefillin. When he put on the tefillin, when he was saying the Shema, I opened the Siddur for him, and he will start saying it in English. He will start crying. The kid will start crying. From there, I felt in neshama that this person has a very big neshama. I will start telling him that, what about if you take upon yourself a little bit of learning? Who came to my mind? Rabbi Finger. I said that, you know what, do you know about BJX? He said, no. I said, there is BJX that you're gonna love. You know, they're helping a lot of community, and a lot of people, they come for Shabbat. You know, there's nice lectures, a good speaker. And I called Rabbi Finger, and I told him about this kid. You know, Rabbi Finger right away said, Rafael, you better, you know, give me his number. We have to help him. I set him up with Rabbi Finger. He was very happy. He was telling me, Rafael, you don't have no idea what you have done for me. He said that there was no hope, but you gave me hope. I enlightened him. He told me that it's good that I met you, that I'm coming to this barbershop. If I could see that in my barbershop I could cut hair and spread the Torah, and it doesn't cost me anything, imagine what other people could do. Like us, each of us could bring a lot of people. If you could save one neshama, you're saving the whole world. Imagine there's a mitzvah and it doesn't cost nothing. But after 120 years, it's gonna cost more than anything else. We have to love each other, and that's how we're gonna bring Mashiach. That's how we're gonna bring the Geulah, the redemption.
Every Jew has the potential to become great, no matter their past. Who will be the next unexpected hero to inspire us all? Will it be you?